Okay, so let's go back to your book on page 126, lesson C. So from the video, you could see that hope and wish sentences also use the present tense, even if it's talking about something in the future. So, for example, Samira hopes her cousin will come to her wedding. So even though this is a wedding in the future, we use present tense to talk about her desire, her hope. Okay? So now let's take a look at the practice section. So it says, complete the sentences, use hope or wish, and the correct form of the verb or modal. Okay? So as always, pause the video and take time to complete the section, and then I will play the audio answers. Okay? Okay, so now let's take a look at the answers.
Page 126, Exercise 2A. 1.
Paul's high school graduation is tomorrow. His friend Luis has to work. Luis wishes he could go to Paul's graduation.
2.
Paul's father has asked for the day off so that he can attend his son's graduation. He hopes he gets the day off.
3.
Paul's grandfather has been sick. He's not sure if he will attend the graduation. Paul hopes his grandfather will attend the ceremony.
4.
Paul's sister is out of the country, so she can't come to the ceremony. Paul wishes his sister were here to attend his graduation.
5.
The graduation ceremony will be outside. Paul hopes it will not rain.
6.
Paul's parents would like to buy him a new car, but they can't afford it. They wish they could buy him a new car.
7.
Paul wasn't accepted to the university, so he will go to a community college. Paul wishes he could go to the university.
8.
Paul has applied for financial aid. Paul hopes he gets financial aid to help pay for his books.
9.
It's possible that Paul will be able to transfer to the university in 2 years. He hopes he can transfer in 2 years.
Okay. So now we are going to look at the next page. Let me actually make it into 2 pages. Okay. So oops, just kidding. Let me go back to the 1-page format. All right. Okay, so it says talk with a partner, read the situations, make statements with hope or wish. Okay, so let's look at the examples. Ryan wants to get a new cell phone soon. Okay, so another way to say this is to use hope and say Ryan hopes he can get a new cell phone soon. Okay, and then Soraya can't go home for Thanksgiving, but she wants to. So in this case, since it's not possible, we use wish. Okay, so Soraya wishes she could go home for Thanksgiving. Okay, so these sentences are numbers 1 and 2. So take some time to complete the rest of this activity and keep in mind which ones are possible and which ones are not possible, and that will help you determine whether to use hope or wish. Okay, so you can pause the video and continue when you're finished. Okay, so let's look at number 3. Marla wants to have a big graduation party, but her apartment is too small. Okay, so we can see that since she lives in this apartment right now, it's impossible to do a big or to have a big graduation party at the moment. So we can use wish. Marla wishes she could have a big graduation party. Okay? Marla wishes she could have a big graduation party. And then number 4. Avi is trying to get a plane reservation so he can attend his cousin's wedding in Las Vegas. So he's in the process of trying, so it's a possibility. So we can say Avi hopes to get a plane reservation so he can attend his cousin's wedding in Las Vegas. Or, of course, you can simplify the sentence and you can say Avi hopes to attend his cousin's wedding in Las Vegas. Okay. Number 5. Carl plans to ask Marta to marry him next weekend. He doesn't know if she will say yes. Okay, so in this case, he's planning to, so it's a possibility. But he doesn't know if she will say yes. That's kind of sad. Hopefully, you are in a relationship where you know that the person loves you confidently. But anyway, we can say Carl hopes Marta will say yes. Okay? Or Carl hopes Marta will marry him. Okay? And then let's look at number 6. Maria. Wow, there are so many names with M-A-R. Marla, Marta, or Maria. So number 6. Maria wants to go to Spain, but she can't afford it. Okay, so we can see it's not possible, at least at this moment, it isn't. So we can say Marla wishes she could go to Spain. Marla wishes she could go to Spain. And then number 7. Anton and Ilsa are expecting a baby. So be careful when you see a capital I, which can look like a lowercase l. So don't say Ilsa. That doesn't make sense. So if you know that names have to start with a capital letter since they are proper nouns, you will know that this is not a lowercase l, but it's a capital I followed by a lowercase l. So Ilsa. Okay, anyway, Anton and Ilsa are expecting a baby. They want the baby to be healthy. So, of course, this is a possibility. So we can say Anton and Ilsa hope the baby is healthy. Or you can say the baby will be healthy. Okay? And then number 8. Jose's wife is in Mexico. He has applied for her to immigrate to the United States. He wants her to come soon. Okay, so this is a possibility. Jose hopes his wife can come to the United States soon. Or Jose hopes his wife can immigrate to the United States. Okay, and then number 9. Farid's brother and sister are living in Iran. They cannot come to the United States now. Farid misses them. Okay, so, of course, since they cannot come right now, this is not possible. So we can say Farid wishes his brother and sister could come to the United States. Okay, Farid wishes his brother and sister could come to the United States. Okay, now let me make a comment about could and would. So could is a form of can, so we know that it's talking about ability. So if you look here, Soraya wishes she could, like she had the ability, she was able, or she were able to go home. Now when we say would, it is a form of will. So it includes intention, like our own action, so our own intention. So we don't see any examples here, but if you look at, let me me try to find it. Actually, here's an example in the example. So, Samira wishes her cousin would come to her wedding. So this sentence sounds like her cousin is able to, like, it's possible for her cousin to buy a plane ticket, but maybe her cousin doesn't want to because of personal reasons. So she wishes her cousin would come to her wedding. But if it said Samira wishes her cousin could come to her wedding, it sounds more like her cousin actually can't, even though her cousin wants to. Okay, so in these situations, they are not possible because they are not going to happen, but would and could have a slight difference in that would includes intention and could means ability. Okay, let's see. Another example is when you express frustration, like, I wish you would just be quiet. Then, of course, it's a possible situation, but in our frustration, we act like it's an impossible situation by saying, I wish you would just be quiet, but you talk so much that it must be impossible. So it's not really an impossibility, as you know. It's more of a way to express our frustration. So that's another example of using wish. And of course, the person you're talking to has the ability and is able to. So that's why you say, I wish you would just be quiet. Okay, but anyway, let's go ahead and look at the next activity, number 3, exercise 3. Communicate. Write 3 holidays or celebrations that you observe. Okay? Think about something you wish you could change about each one. So if you look at Mother's Day, for example, you could say, I wish I could have the day off to be with my children. So in this example, it's not possible for this person to have the day off. So it seems like this person works on a Sunday because Mother's Day is always on a Sunday. But anyway, so you can use I wish I could have the day off to be with my children. And if you look at this conversation, it gives a little bit more detail. I don't have Mother's Day off. I wish I could have the day off to be with my children. I hope you get the day off next year. And then, I hope your children will do something special for you. So you can see that you, even though it's talking about the future, you use the present tense. And in this case, you can see the usage of will, but we use hope, not will hope. Okay. And if you look at the useful language box, you can see that expressing hope is a common way of ending a conversation. I hope you feel better soon. I hope you have a good time. So these are common ways to end a conversation. But for our exercise, you don't have to do be, unless you're with someone you want to practice the conversation with. But for our purposes, you can just write sentences about something you wish you could change. So you're going to use wish in this case, okay, instead of hope. Now let me give another example. So if you talk about something that already happened, but you wish you could have changed something about it. So again, this is talking about a past situation. For example, Easter, you might say, I wish we could have celebrated. So could have celebrated. We are using the past participle. I wish we could have celebrated Easter at church, or I wish our children could have had an Easter egg hunt with all their friends, because, as you know, due to the coronavirus situation, we couldn't celebrate Easter this year in the normal or common way. So during Easter, as you know, in America, lots of children have big Easter egg hunts, and sometimes this involves hundreds of children if you go to like a park or a big church. But this year, many families just did a little Easter egg hunt for their own children. So we might say, I wish we could have had a big Easter egg hunt for our children and their friends. So you can also talk about the past when you use wish. So if you want, you can do that as well. Mother's Day too, that's already past. So you might say, I wish we could have celebrated Mother's Day at my favorite restaurant, but we couldn't, because again of the coronavirus situation. So there are lots of good examples you could use, even about future holidays or events. Okay, so go ahead and take some time to do this activity. Pause the video and continue when you're finished. Okay, so actually, you know what? I just realized I meant to say that you can use hope if you want to talk about possibilities, but again, it's a little different than the original instructions. Instead of changing something, you are expressing your desire for something that's a possibility, like I hope we can get together with our family and friends for a 4th of July barbecue. So that's a possible situation still, since it's a little under a month away. We don't know if the parks are going to have a big fireworks show, but at this point it's unlikely, but you can still hope. So you could say, I hope. So if you're talking about the 4th of July, you could say, I hope we can see fireworks at a park this year, but we don't know. But anyway, that's another option if you want to practice some sentences with hope. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and look at a worksheet. So let's do exercise A, write sentences. Okay, so you can see a bunch of words and phrases. So use the phrases and words to make a sentence. For example, Ronnie hopes his son will come home for Thanksgiving. Okay, and again, you can also say Ronnie hopes his son comes home for Thanksgiving. All right, so go ahead and pause the video and complete these sentences. Okay, let's look at number 2. We can say, oops, let me move it here. Elena wishes her friends would call her more often. So as I mentioned earlier, since her friends totally have the ability to call her more often, it's a little better to use would. It sounds better. Because if her friends just have the intention, they can do it. Okay, it's not that it's that they are unable to call her. So would is a better word to use here. Okay, number 3, you can say Francisco hopes his parents can buy him a smartphone for his birthday. Oops. Okay. And also, you can use will, okay, rather than can. Actually, yeah, will is probably the better word to use here. Okay. And then number 4, Tam wishes he could buy a new car. Okay. He wishes, but he can't. And then number 5, Katrina hopes her mother bakes or will bake some cookies next weekend. Okay, so let me do this here. Okay, and then Maya and Alex wish they could take a vacation. Okay, so in this case, it already says can, so we know that we have to use could, but it also talks about their inability to take a vacation, like they can't, even if they had the intention, they are not able to, maybe because they cannot take some time off from work. Okay, they can't take any time off from work. Okay, so for exercise B, you can go ahead and move on to part 3 of this lesson, part 3.